tutti si vedere, caira batu suere matre spura, tacerenti, kutu. Perché tutte le spagliano gente, su cui amatosci, te pacutro spirato, ancora. Continua ma sulla ieri sera, te pacutro spagnato, te tutto. Hi, everyone. And at the table is myself, Vox Angeles, Andona Kamara Sananda, and we want to welcome today's guest, Robyn Ringgold, to the Light Language Conversation. And we're so happy to have you here, Robyn.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here today.
Yes, welcome, Robyn. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so excited for our audience to get an opportunity to experience light language as experienced through you and to learn a lot more about you and your story. So
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, to start us off, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get into utilizing, well, really, how did your spiritual paths begin? How did you start utilizing light language in your practice?
Okay. So I would say probably around 2012, I had what I would call my first kind of dark night of the soul. Prior to then, I had always looked into, followed, practiced other religions. I had some gurus. I had traveled to India. I traveled to Egypt. So I was already kind of having this sense of there's much more to this life than what we know. I even had an experience in my early 20s where I did see an object in the sky, which I knew, oh, wait a minute. And I was with someone else who also saw it. So I knew for sure what that was. So I felt like a part of me was very much always open and always knew that there's something else that existed. But in 2011, I got married for the second time. And I call that my fast track to my awakening. Because literally, as soon as I got married, it was like I plummeted. Like everything in my life completely fell apart, from finances to, I mean, it triggered all of my deepest like childhood wounds to come to the surface. So it was such a really beautiful experience, although it was super painful at that time, but it really did fast track me. So from there, I started going to therapy, just traditional therapy, and kind of mining through my childhood and really understanding, why I made certain choices and decisions and why my life looked like it did. And from there, I started listening to Dolores Cannon and, finding all of the beautiful things on YouTube and having sessions. And I remember one of my first sessions in an early teacher I had, she said, "Oh, you are a shaman from so many lifetimes. You've been, working with nature and working with the earth and practicing kind of what she called back then, like kind of elemental shamanism." And so from there, I took my first course in shamanism, learning how to journey. And I took that from Victoria Vives, an amazing teacher in California. I flew across the country and went, and that weekend I learned to journey, or I remembered how to journey. And from there, I met one of my dominant guides at the time, who was a Maori shaman. And he just started taking me back to these lifetimes where he taught me. And he actually ended up teaching and helping me to remember so much. And so my awakening really expanded greatly from there. And then I would fast forward, that was in 2012, from 2012 to about 2015, I was having that undergoing that whole process of the dark night of the soul, the therapy, to the learning how to journey. And once I learned how to journey, it's like I was going into all these different dimensional spaces and worlds and like having these amazing experiences. And I started doing journeys for other people. So I took different classes. I was learning how to channel, doing meditation. And I'd learned meditation through the Art of Living, which I was in for like many years, and went to India and like Canada and, followed Sri Ravi Shankar for years. So I had like some foundation in different like breath work and Kriya and meditation. So that was kind of underlined. I also took Reiki in 2009. So that was all kind of preceded this dark night of the soul. So I kind of had this foundation already. So fast forward, it was 2018 when Sekhmet used to come to me. Now, every day, literally, her energy was with me. And she was teaching me things and showing me things, and I would journey with her. And this was precipitated by a visit to the Met in New York City. So my youngest daughter is an artist, and she was about to graduate from high school, and her birthday is Christmas Day. So I told her, oh, let's go to New York City for your birthday and just kind of go to the museums and hang out for the day, because we were living in Maryland. So we went to the Met, and I had no idea about the Egyptian exhibit there. So we go to the Met, walk through the exhibit. We get to the very end. There's this statue of Sekhmet, and I stand in front of in front of her, and I had this entire, like, it felt like someone punched me in my heart, like almost like a loss of like breath, and like it literally like, and it was like I had some type of spontaneous like awakening from that. And from there, that's when I started journeying with I call her Mama Sekhmet. And she started teaching me and taking me back to Egypt when it was very lush. And she was showing me many things. I was being activated by different hieroglyphics. And that spawned an entirely like next stage, I would say, of my awakening process. And that was in 2017. In 2018, one morning, she woke me up at 3 a.m. and she said, I want you to go to Egypt for the equinox in 2 weeks. And I'm sitting there like, in 2 weeks, like, how am I going to do that? Money, like I had 2 kids. I was like, that's insane. But one thing I will say about me is that when the message comes, when I get the feeling, I listen. So all kinds of miracles took place. And right before I went to Egypt, I was doing a journey with her, and I was laying out on the earth, and all these different planets were activating different chakras of mine. And I was like, wow, this is really neat. Usually I went into the earth and had experiences. This time I was like, had this vision of myself laying on top of the earth. So I started Googling, like, what do the planets have to do with each of the chakras? And I found a book called DNA of the Spirit. And I ordered it and I read it, and it was written by a man. He's from India, and I'll just say, I'll tell the story in a second. So I ordered the book, read it, and I was like, oh my goodness, I was having like these amazing like experiences. And I looked on Facebook, and he actually had a Facebook page, but like one of those pages where they have one post in 2011 and the next post is 2013. So I wasn't sure if he was still active, but I reached out to him, and his name is Ray Chandran. I reached out to him, and he said, oh, Robyn Ringgold, thank you. I know you're going to help many people on the road to ascension. That's what he told me. And I was just like, oh, okay, thanks for the book. It was amazing. And I had this experience. So fast forward, it's 2 weeks before I'm being told to go to Egypt. And on his Facebook page, he has a picture of himself in Egypt. So I reach out to him again, and I say, I'm going to be in Egypt during these dates. Are you in Egypt? And he says, yes, I'm finishing one trip. I'll start another one this date. So you can come and meet me at my hotel on Sunday morning or Saturday evening, excuse me. So I make it to Egypt. A friend of mine that was Egyptian, he called his sister and his niece. They picked me up from the airport. I stayed at their house the first few days. So it was just like the universe orchestrated all of this. So I get to Egypt and I go meet some friends who I met through a Facebook group who were doing QHHT. So I meet up with them at the pyramids, and one of the ladies was from Greece. And she and I had this amazing soul remembrance in front of the Sphinx. So it was like she was my mother in this lifetime. So I spend the day with them. I go to meet Ray Chandran, the author, at his hotel, and we start talking. And when I left there, it felt like someone had, like, once again, like ripped a hole in my heart. Like my heart literally was like hurting. And I was like, what is happening to me? Like, what is this? So anyhow, to kind of fast forward, I have these amazing experiences. I fly to Luxor. I'm in the room with Sekhmet's statue at the chapel and having like incredible like downloads and activations. And I'm the only one in there. And this was before it was roped off, so I could like actually be with her and touch her and interact. And so on my way home, I'm still having this heart explosion or feeling or like not understanding. And when I got home, I thought, oh my gosh, this man was my father. So I reached out to him and asked him if that was the truth. And he said yes. So I went on that trip. And long story short, I met a mother, I met a father, I met so many soul family. It was like almost like a reunion. And from there, Ray invited me to India. So that August of 2018, I went to India and had my first Kundalini awakening. And that was the first time I had heard light language. So some of his students were speaking light language. And once again, it was like meeting soul family again. So many beautiful, wonderful people that I met during that retreat, I still am friends with today, and definitely soul family. So while I was there, I also felt like I was with like Master Shiva the entire time. Like he was helping me to clear, because the first day I did have a Kundalini awakening, but it only went up, I think maybe to my throat, and then it got stuck. So it's like, you really can't, it's almost like it's painful, when it gets stuck. So I felt like Shiva was like helping me and with me. And there we had it at Pyramid Valley. So there's this beautiful statue of Shiva when you walk up kind of off the path. And so I would just go there early in the morning and sit with him. And it was like I was having so much clearing. So then the next day I had a full-on Kundalini awakening. So I would say when I got back home from that trip, my light language really blossomed. Initially, it sounded like kind of an insectoid. And I was like, oh gosh, if I'm going to sound like this, like there's no way I'm ever going to share this. And, I would get the arm swing and like the body movements, and I still get lots of facial expressions when the light language and energy comes through. But it was a really exciting time because so much was opening and I was meeting so many soul family. So from there, that was in August of 2018. From there, I started meeting even more people I felt like the whole first 5 years after like 2018, or I would say 2017 to about 2021, was just me meeting different soul family. And also, every time I traveled, it was like I was picking up more parts of my soul. And with each aspect that I picked up, the light language changed. The light language it became different. It changed. I was able to do more with it, understand it more. So it's like it increased gradually as I integrated more aspects of myself. So I'll just take a pause there in case you all have any questions.
That is an absolutely beautiful story and a great testament to divine orchestration, right? Because all these pieces had to be so meticulously aligned in order for you to step into the next step and the next step and the next step and the next phase and the next phase and the next phase. As those different progressions, or as you progress in your light language and your light language evolved, did you have a sense of the source of where that language was coming from? Did you consider its source, or did you consider it aligned with a specific energy? Like, was it aligned with Sekhmet? Was it aligned with the Arcturians or the Pleiadians? Did you have a sense of that?
So at different times, yes and no. So let me give you an example. One time, I was integrating like a mantis aspect of myself, and the light language changed, and the hand movements were literally like doing this, and it was very surgical when I would work with people. Like it was, it was very distinctly different, and I exactly knew it was them coming through. I am a very open channel, and I never resonated when people said, "Oh, I speak Syrian or Lyrian or this." It's like mine doesn't necessarily work that way. I really am an open channel. So when I work with someone, there are different energies that can come through. So, say for instance, if they have a Native American um, ancestry or lineage, that might come through, or guide that can come through, and it sounds very, very different, and my voice will change. Now, when I'm just speaking for myself, I feel that it just always felt very ancient and primordial and not necessarily connected with just a star race. However, there would be times when, like I can feel the Syrian High Council, they're here, and I'm speaking and I can feel it's them. But I would say that it changes, but my base, maybe foundational light language, maybe I'd call it that, it feels much more ancient and primal. It's very, most people will say it reminds them of kind of like Lemurian, or most people say kind of a Lemurian feel. However, to me, when I listen to other people who say that they're speaking that, it doesn't sound like what I speak. And so I have to say, honestly, I really haven't heard someone else like it. I haven't heard someone else speak in that way. But also, like I was speaking with a friend of mine, the woman that I met from Berlin, that was my mother. We are still very good friends. And we were talking, and it's like the Arcturians just were there and were delivering something to her, and my light language changed to allow that to come through. So it really depends. And there's so many races and beings that are outside of, the ones that we really identify with, that I also am able to communicate with.
That I was going to reiterate that was such a beautiful, heartfelt story, and I could just feel every aspect of it. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's very interesting because I can totally identify, and I know Andona can as well, that this is really truly more of a remembrance, that everything that life is bringing you is like this divine orchestration, so that you can remember who it is that you truly are, and that you can kind of open those doors at these gifts that are coming in for you, that you can utilize in service within your life. Well, just not only for yourself, but for others. And I just had a question about how you feel when you're working with people. How do you feel that light language actually interacts with individuals, whether it is their energy systems, their nervous system? How do you feel that light language is affecting people in a transformative way?
Oh, wow. So I will have to start off with saying every client is very different that I work with. But one of the main things that I always feel is I can sense the meridian system, and I can sense blockages in their meridian system. Oh, I'm getting chills. And the light language literally goes directly to that blockage and starts to break up that particular blockage. I can feel toxins literally coming out of the body, out of the bottoms of the feet. So definitely the system, the nervous system, the spinal column, also lots of activation in the pineal, in their clairs. the light language has the ability or the capability to open some of those centers to allow, but this all is dependent on the person, where they are. It's not like I'm saying, oh, they're going to get this today. It's literally I'm connecting with their higher self and whatever they are ready for or working with. Some people are working with their galactic aspects, so they will come through. Other people, the connection to the earth is really important. Maybe they don't go outside much or connect with the earth much. So then it's like, it feels like some really deep rooted earth energies are coming up, and the trees, and like interacting with their field to kind of bring them into like a remembrance of the communion with the earth. So it really absolutely depends, but clearing energy, clearing blockages, activating centers, clearing density. And then also when we're working with the inner child, if I'm feeling that, like, it's almost like setting up a field so that they can have a clear connection with their either inner child or ancestors. So it also it almost like clears the way, but then it also enables that connection to happen. So it's so incredible the way that it works, and the way that it changes according to what is needed and required for that person.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. And I resonate with that because that's the way I experience light language as well as when I'm working with someone else. I'm curious to know how you use light language within your own life, within the everyday practical things. One thing that I always attribute to you, because I know you outside of the summit, but one thing I always attribute to you is that you say all the time, I've heard you say, we're here to feel into all aspects of what it is to be human. And I know that one of the ways that you do that is that you really connect with nature. So how have you coupled that with your light language, connecting with the nature with your light language, and working with yourself through the everyday practical things of life and feeling into all that it is to be human?
Well, definitely. My entire journey, like, I only talked about a few of the places that I went, but for sure I get called to places. And so I've been to like Jerusalem and Peru and India. I just came back from India in March. And so when I'm asked to go to these places, there's a lot of light language involved, because when I get there, I'm speaking a lot of light language, which is, I feel like, picking up these aspects of myself from these lands. It's also clearing any energies that I have from those lifetimes. And then it's also interacting with the lands or the portals or the stargates. I mean, I know that I do grid work, but I'm not big on, oh, I'm going here to do this. It's like I show up, and when the light language comes through, I have a sense that either something's being cleared, I'm healing something within myself, I'm interacting and speaking to the land in that way. Through the light language, I'm connecting with the beings that are a part of that land through the light language. I'm connecting with the ancestors through the light language. And then I find it fascinating too, because also just in my everyday life, I might get in a car and I start speaking light language. And it's like, oh, like you just get a sense of, oh, okay. Like you understand as a like a packet of information, you understand what's being communicated or what's happening, but it isn't so much that it's like a word for word. So I feel like that's how I communicate with my higher self. That's how I know certain things. That's how I'm told to do certain things, or I receive direction, I should say. So on an everyday basis, I'm speaking light language for myself. Now, I live near the beach, and I was absolutely called to move here. I never thought I'd be living in Florida, and I was definitely called here. So some mornings, and I'll give you this perfect example. When I get up in the morning and I'm in my meditation, I just know immediately I need to go to a certain place. So there's one beach I absolutely love where I go all the time, but sometimes it's like, nope, go here. So this one particular morning, I'm sitting to meditate and it's like, go here. And I'm like, well, I wanted to like journal, go here. So I literally got up and I go there. I get there and it's not, I go there sometimes, but not regularly. I go there and I'm just walking. There's this huge sea slug. Tons of people have been walking past it. I see it. I mean, it's really big. I have it on my Facebook. And I'm like, wow. So I'm like talking to it like, okay, you're still moving. Like, I just had this sense it needed to go back in the water. So I'm getting my flip-flops and I'm like easing it on. And it's like it lifted its head up and like this little opening happened. Wow. It almost made me emotional. It's like it transmitted some energy to me. And so I put it on the flip flop, I put it back in the water, and I just felt like I just wanted to start crying. So I leave and I'm going home and I'm like, did y'all call me back? Did y'all call me to the beach to like put a sea slug back in the water? But then I started understanding it was so much more than that. Like there was something that transpired between me and the sea slug. And I don't have words for it. I just know I literally got called there to interact with this sea slug. So those kinds of things happen a lot. And I speak light language to it. And, it's like we're having some type of communication through the light language. It's not through any words, and I don't get words, but I just know there's something happening. So I literally use light language all day, all the time. It's not like constant, of course, but it's spontaneous.
I'm loving the sea slug.
Oh, you have to see the video of it. I literally caught it on video, and I was just like, okay.
I had an experience like that with a praying mantis.
Yes.
um, so I had a question, like when your light language is coming in, is it just you're kind of translating, transcribing somehow or other, the light language is coming through. Do you also see symbols or, geometric shapes or colors or any type of thing like that as you are transmitting?
Occasionally, my dominant ability definitely is clairsentience. So I feel like I can walk outside and I know like the tree is wanting to talk to me or communicating with me. It's like I really feel a lot. Occasionally I see. And when I was in Egypt, I've been to Egypt now like 6 times in the last years. And maybe 2 times ago, I started writing light language for the first time. And that was all the symbols and geometries. I don't typically see them in my day-to-day use of light language. However, I have had, I did a light language kind of like activation with a large group in India. And the guy got on and he said, this was my first time hearing it. And I saw all of these patterns and geometries and colors. And it's like, as he was describing them, I felt and saw for the first time what the light language is actually doing. So I typically don't see while I'm doing it.
What do you feel the light language is actually doing? When you saw that through his eyes, what do you feel the light language is actually doing when it's interacting with the field?
I just wanted to answer that in light language. Like literally, I was about to answer it. Like, I feel that it repatterns. It's repattering. I literally just saw that like things are being repatterned, reconfigured. Yeah. I don't know why that question literally just like spawned something else, but I feel reconfiguration, repatterning, adjusting, it's clearing. Yeah, I feel like there's so much to it that like I don't think that we really grasp light and sound, like the expansiveness of that is so like the magnitude of that is just so great. Like I can feel it.
I can, when you're saying that and you're talking about sound, I have always had that interpretation of it, that we are sound, that everything is sound, that, we talk about everything is energy, everything has its own identifying frequency and so forth. But I'm always so curious when I hear little snippets about the discoveries that are being made, about sound. And I was kind of like, we've known it all along.
Like, finally, right?
Like, finally. But I kind of lost the framework of my question when I was talking about that. But it's just kind of beautiful. So it's I feel like we are sound, and it kind of goes back to like the old biblical teachings. Then there was sound, and the world was created. And so I really feel like that sound, what you're bringing through, or we are bringing through with light language, is, for my work, I'm always told it's about sacred design and creation. And that
Yes.
kind of covers all of what you're saying about repatterning, reconfiguration, adjustments. I had like attunements, clearing, rebalancing, all of that. That it is about creation in a sense. And so to me, when you're looking at it from, we can be we are creation, yet we are creator at the same time. And so then we have ability to create, but then, is that even a word, recreate? But so we have the ability to recreate something, to dismantle something, to disassemble something, and to create a new foundation and a new structure. And I believe that sound, and I've seen it happen, I believe that sound has the power to do that. And you look, I think something fairly recently came out about in Egypt, and it might have been an old article, but I think things keep coming forward, and I don't think that's an accident. But there
Right.
was something about like a chamber where they felt that it was actually sound, like a sound chamber that they were utilizing for healing and so forth. And so I think that there's so much more, and there's been so much channeled about it too, but science hasn't really fully caught up. But I think they are, as to what sound is capable of.
Yes,
And that's exciting.
it
Yeah.
is. It is, absolutely. And as
Yes.
you, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, as you were speaking, I was thinking when we were talking about creation. So, in order to have this experience here on Earth, there's certain patterns I feel in our field that had to be distorted so that we could forget, so that we could have this earthly experience. So I feel like the light language is reconfiguring that so that we can now remember, you know.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's all fascinating. And if you look at how sound has been used to move objects, I mean, at least that's the theory, right? By monks and used to lift heavy objects, and even at the Coral Castle down here in Florida, where Edward Leedskalnin was able to move things, they say, with sound. So that's a fascinating thing. But to pivot just a little bit, you are fully embodied in your light language. You walk it, talk it, live it, all of that, live and breathe it. How has your family acclimated to this now version of Robyn?
Um, they've been amazing, I have to say. I feel that they are very much aware and very accepting. My daughters laugh a lot. But it's a laughter like, I mean, I laugh sometimes. Sometimes the sounds that come through, I'm like, wow. And I have to laugh. So I think it's a healthy laughter, but everybody's pretty used to it. And my close, immediate family, I would say. Yes. So I've been very fortunate in that sense.
Now, when you go on your adventures, I'm just curious about this, does your family travel with you, or is this like a solo journey? When you've gone to Egypt, or you've gone to India, or all the places that you've gone, do you have family members that travel with you?
Not typically. So this has been a point of discussion with my guides and higher self. Like, why am I always alone? Like, I'm going on these places. I mean, I went to Peru by myself in November of 2022. And it was an amazing trip. And being alone is a whole different trip, right? But my family usually does not accompany me. However, I do take people on journeys. So I take people to Egypt and I've taken them to Mount Shasta and Sedona. So I do that on a regular basis. So that's kind of fun, but it's a very different trip than when I'm called somewhere by myself. So I went to Peru in November of 2022, and some really amazing things happened to align me with an amazing, beautiful shaman. His name is Jorge Delgado. And I met him through some other means, and I ended up going to Peru that year. Um, but most of my journeys have been alone. I get called and I end up in these places alone, and I cry a lot. I'm being honest, like sometimes I have these amazing experiences and I'm like, I don't have anybody here to tell or to share this with or to, you know, but I feel like that's been very purposeful.
I love that you share that. And I often think about you because I don't have the people, I have a family, but they aren't trying to accompany me anywhere, right? To go to any of these places. But I often think of you because I think to myself, well, Robyn can do this. Robyn did this. Robyn did this alone, had this experience. I can be alone. It's okay to be alone. So I often think of that. So thank you for doing what you do, even though you're doing it alone. It's inspiring to those of us who are have to do it alone. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it, right?
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. I do feel like it's shifting a little bit, like the trips, at least I'm having other people to share these experiences with. But normally it's after I have integrated the energy of the place, then I'm able to take someone. So yeah.
I've been experiencing that myself, and kind of what Andona was saying, because I've been guided to go to Egypt for years now, and that's like building. I have to go to Egypt. I have to go to Egypt. But for me, my family doesn't want to go with me either. And then I don't want to go alone, not even I would go alone, but I'm actually afraid to go alone. I made it to Greece by myself, and then I was like, yay, I made it to Greece. Okay, I'm still alive. There's nothing happening.
Right.
So for me though, you hear so much about you shouldn't travel alone to Egypt, and and so for me, I just have to kind of get over that fear and figure it out, and how for me it's just how to get there. Where am I going to go? Type of thing.
I can help you with that.
I'll be contacting you.
Okay.
So I think for whatever reason that this is actually a good time, and then we can have more discussion afterwards. But I feel like this is a good time to actually experience a bit of your work.
Okay.
And what it is that you do. But actually before that, and I haven't asked anyone this, but I'm being guided to ask you, because you do work with private clients, right?
Yes.
Take us through so that, our audience has somewhat of an idea. Take us through the architecture of one of your private sessions. Okay. What does your private session look like?
So I typically I would say always start with setting up a beautiful sacred container, where I'm commanding what energies we want to work with. I invite in their higher self. And most times before the session, I connect with their higher self and ask for some overarching themes that we're going to be working with. So I usually have some type of information ahead of time. And so once I set the container, I typically ask for clearing, because oftentimes we're carrying so much energy that, we're not utilizing, that belongs to someone else, that we picked up from somewhere. So a lot of times we're just clearing energy in the beginning. I work a lot with the elements and the elementals. So I typically ask people to stand under a waterfall and feel the water cleansing their field on all those layers and levels. And as we're doing that, I'm able to start to see what their field is looking like. If there's blockages here or there, or it's what's coming up for them, inner child, like what's really happening. So once we clear the field, I always work with the heart center. So we typically travel into that portal of light and the Sacred Heart. And once we're inside of there, then we might meet your inner child. And then typically the inner child has something to tell you, to share with you, something that they're still needing to work through or to be heard, to be seen, to be acknowledged. We also work with ancestors. And that isn't limited to this lifetime and, grandfather and grandmother. It's also many other ancestors and lineages that we have that might be impacting us or that we don't know about or that have gifts for us or that we might need to clear something, because that's often the case as well. Also understanding the imprints that we have received that we're still that are still impacting us today. There's tons and tons of ancestral imprints that we're working through. I would say most everyone has something with their mother and father. If you talk to anybody, all of us do. I'm sure my girls have it too. So that's also, there's lots of healing there. Now, people that have done an immense amount of inner child and ancestral work, then maybe some of their galactic family is ready to connect, or some of their aspects. One thing I see often is people gather lots of aspects and gifts and all that, but they're kind of like hanging out because there's not room for integration yet. So often helping people to integrate all the things that they have picked up. So I would say I would say it kind of ranges between those overarching themes. Now, sometimes there are people that work with land as well. So they might be taking a trip that they thought was very random, and we might start working on the land and the place that they're going and connecting with the land ahead of time. So it really can range. I do lots of different work depending on what the person is actually needing at that moment.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, because I know that people often hear about what it is that you're doing and so forth, but they don't really know how it's done. And so I was just curious. I knew that you could articulate that in that way, and I think that's actually really helpful. So, all right, so I am going to go ahead and pin you.
Okay.
And then if there's anything that our audience needs to do to prepare to receive from you, just, state that. And then I only ask that when you're complete, just make it clear that you're complete.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm really looking forward to your sharing.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So let us just begin with just gently closing our eyes and taking a deep breath through the nose, pausing at the top of the breath and exhaling through the nose. And just coming into this now moment, bringing your awareness to the high heart, which is just beneath the collarbone in the center of the chest, and continuing to breathe. And just have the intention to connect with your inner source, your higher self. And we connect with all that is, the source of all love, of all creation, Divine Mother, Divine Father. And we command sacred space around each of us and those that will listen in the future. And only those frequencies and energies in alignment with our highest love, our highest soul embodiment may be here now, may speak to us, through us, or interact with our energies in any way, shape, or form. And so it is. And I ask that each of you have an intention that your higher self orchestrate what you receive today, what you clear, what you understand. So as we take another breath, allow the high heart to begin to expand, imagining a beautiful portal of light opening in the high heart. As we invite our guides, our angels, our ancestors, the elements and elementals, Mother Gaia, and our higher selves, our teams of light, to accompany us into the heart portal. And as we enter, we are entering into a beautiful ocean where we are standing on the sands. And we gently, gently walk into the ocean, just up to the knees, feeling the warm water, the sun on your skin. The tide is very gentle, the waves. And just feel yourself relaxing, feeling the gentle waters. Alipetoni, kaisute. Amutiale ki kaishum balepati sali mi enakaisa. Sabue ai ni etai suko ni tiana. Kilakandu uma itaina elapueni. We're just going to gently walk shilakotuena a bit more into the waters until it's about up to our waist. And the water is just warm enough shilakotuena so that it's comfortable. Akutiena. The waters are clear, a beautiful turquoise greenish color. Shukotapalekinita. Kilakuetian kituishanakia. And feeling the sun warming your face. Kematoisho masanikia. Salapuanaketeanukia. And we simply ask now that any energies that we're carrying, any emotions, miketalokunitya, anything that no longer serves us, shilakotuine, anything we've been holding on to that we're ready to let go of. Ikanotuena, any energies in our field, ilakotutukonimita. We invoke the living waters with the korimitaye. And we ask now for gentle cleansing, katutukonimita, from our fields, from our physical vessels, misakotutukena, from our subtle bodies. Katutukunemata, tukunebatisa, tuke, kipatunemanakiata, alekikando epalakit hishabo numasakia. Salapatukunematakuishene. And feeling the sand beneath your feet as you're connected to our beloved Gaia. Shukatatakataputukunamita. Sikatatukunamatia. Ilakotutukunamadela lakatetukunamasatia. Elakutapeda enekita tu shala salaki kanto kula aisa natue. Kepatue shala punusute mahasikia. Kepalo bahestat la atiki satui. Kalo ni satui sa. Ali hanzu kirna halipitukuish. Just have that intention to just let it go. Shukadamatakai Ila umdukia. Any anger, frustration, fears, kutapala etkiana, kila kutuye. Anxiety, worry, stress, and really feel the waters, sushalakuni, bringing a beautiful, peaceful vibration, gentle movement, allowing you to feel comfortable enough to just let go. Shulam be'esai, mano epai, noma ilalo, mba kesale, atuela nana atai esaku ine, moshale mbale mama etiani et aile mdesawe. Akia ye unamahewa ane wahala mdesha shatu nasale, ambele hanna etayen nahanek itai sote. And the waters are sentient, mahatuina. They can feel you, sense you. They know you, they remember you. Witahawa etya. Kam due pe namahetia. Wieshalo banume imama yete tuaya nanakai. Kalibanu amala pahaswakia. and out from the bottoms of your feet. Mushoko nitya. Any toxins, any blockages in the meridian system, in your energy fields. Continue breathing, allowing those to be gently pulled through the bottoms of the feet. Any blockages, go to pew. Taking a deep breath. Feeling your body becoming lighter. And we welcome now the beautiful dolphins who are joining us now. And they're just close enough that we begin to feel their presence. We see them playing. It brings a beautiful smile to the face, a very uplifting and playful energy. As they enter into our field, into the waters, and they're here, for those that have not connected with them, to connect, to reconnect, to remember. And for others, there's an activation available. Trusting your higher self, whatever it is that you require now. Allowing these new frequencies to easily and gracefully enter into your fields, sparking a great remembrance, Shikatuena, from our cetacean family. And I'm sensing our beautiful Mer family, our Lemurian family is here now too. Isatuit, those of the waters. Takita na kuita bili na kia yete na kwa ini nekai. Kanate na kala ina yit kia na ya kanasa ni na kai. Ani na hashiki na so nema etia na ya na ya mi awi na wele awi na nang wa ya na na we ni na we na o na we na no hai ni mi hale mai sa adobu hai na no we shale bekia they're so happy to be here with you. Sawitiana, for the time has come now, Sukiana, where those barriers, Utuhalapuinikia, Salupitanukia, between them and us, Nikatuena, between those aspects of us, Ukemo Owasni, is lessening greatly. Shukotepelekina. Pancho naman na ade patukrimeta no malepe to makisa wisha no tuisha na ni na no eta ne eta no mana we kaito itiana kana na o ya ne na o ya sakya kanya wa we sha yu sho mai sha sha to mama kwa ni ko ta isu kwa ne na we ne o esha ne wa ne ayu na ne. So just taking a deep breath. And allowing all that you received today to integrate easily and gracefully. Allowing the waters, which hold memory, to begin to help you to remember. Malu uhandi, Winekaisa, Sabu andi lambeke saitu na kela ita nukwe. Kanu swain nana yesakia, mani nahani ale mbaye sa nikieta. Kalum baye sa ni etai so kuye sad no me ene ta wishno mai shina no kwe. Let me take another deep breath. And as we give thanks to our beautiful ancestors, the dolphins, the waters, the sands, Mother Gaia, Balakuya Nidya, and our beloved Son, Nukutala Puhantikit no Umbaishin to Nukia, Kanoswet Ele Undukia. We prepare now to come back, Kisa Puanikitya, coming back through that heart portal out of the waters, Kwidednu Umaanita Ukun Isan Dukuya, back into this now moment, completely back in our bodies, Kodematoyesa, allowing all portals to close, Ishakanutuine, Mukedeplekena Tatu Dashu Ushana Anu Umbale Imbakisa, Kanu Uyashanitia, and taking a deep breath, fully back here, now, and just taking a moment to gently move your body as we are now complete.
I'm trying to get my voice back. First of all, I just wanted to say that Robyn, that was magnificent, and I love the fact that you are integrating. It's just a beautiful weaving of what is a very tangible body of work, in that you are weaving kind of like a spoken meditation with the light language. And I feel like that is that it just truly bypasses anything or any misgivings or what have you that people might have to actually allowing themselves to experience. But I feel so much deeper and more integrated in the experience, having had that woven, as it were, to even other experiences that are equally powerful. But it's different, because for some reason I feel very softly focused, and I'm trying to explain it, and everything is just dispersed, and I just feel very clear and settled and rooted, and not quite as spacey, but just really like open and really open. And you had mentioned something which my mind attached to throughout, because you were talking about the waters and the living waters, and how water holds memory. And I've been working with water a lot, because we are, 79 to 90% water when we're talking about our body, and just the work of like Dr. Emoto, and just how this stream of consciousness that's coming from, we'll just say from God's source, infinite intelligence, what have you, the universe, it is kind of flowing through, that it is affecting these waters, these living waters that are within our physical being. And you integrated that with just having people walk into the water, walk into the ocean, and feel that. And I just thought it was marvelous.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Everything Phyllis said, all of that. I felt like I became the water. I dissolved into the water, became one with the waters. And so when the dolphins approached, as the mer approached, everything, I was just one with all of it in this, in the ocean, as the ocean, feeling all of it. That was absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
Absolutely beautiful.
thank you.
Yes.
And I'd like to add that I don't plan anything ahead of time. So it's like as I get into it, it just who comes and what comes and what to say, it all happens, in that moment. And also, I want to share one other thing that I find very interesting. I was invited to do a sound healing with a very mainstream group. I'll say it that way. And so I thought, oh, I can't do any light language with them, like that's a little too much. But what I found is I was able to do the journey and not use any light language. However, my mouth opens like the frequency it just gets emitted. And so I didn't have to speak 1 ounce of light language. The frequency came right through. So I also wanted to just like include that because, it works on so many levels and in so many ways. And it's such a testament to, as we do our own healing, that the frequency is emanating from us. Yeah.
I am curious with two things because yes, for me, I understand that light language is not only spoken, but it is also an emanation. And for me, I consider like this, within my work, it's like a holy emanation. It's just this energy that comes out. And then there's the words as well. And as I'm doing that, I can feel the emanation. But I am curious why you were under the assumption that this group would, like, that you could not do light language.
Because I was invited to do a sound healing with my bowls. And the audience, it's from a university, and they have kind of like a satellite office that offers kind of like alternative things. And so I also want to be very mindful and respectful of people. And if someone has never heard light language before, they don't really understand how it's interacting with their field. I just felt I didn't want to infringe on anyone's like free will also. Like, because I like, even if someone comes into session with me, that I've never met before, then I'm going to ask them, have they heard light language before? Do they understand what it is? So I try to have a little explanation of that. So I'm confident that when they sign up for a session with me, that their higher self, that's an agreement already made. But I do that. But I feel this was just a very public, just random people are just coming and they think they're coming to hear sound bowls, which they think is something other than maybe what it actually is. So I felt more comfortable not introducing light language in that arena.
Oh, beautiful. I know that I do the bowls and gongs and things like that too. And often when I do that, I advertise that I'm speaking light languages, I'm using the
Mhm.
vocals and all of that. So I'm curious how in other instances you integrate the two. Do you actually do more performative aspects where you're utilizing the light language with your sound healing tools?
Yes. So people often ask me, how are you playing the bowls, speaking English, taking people on a journey and speaking light language? And I just said, it's just these other parts of me are doing that. I can't answer that. So yes, I play my bowls and I'm doing a guided journey. I'm bringing through English at times so I can direct them. And then I'm also speaking light language, and it just all happens in this beautiful, like, collaboration. Yeah.
That speaks to the multidimensional nature of us, right? And the ability to operate within that space when we just surrender to it
Yes.
and allow it
Yes.
to flow. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, nice.
I love the word that you used was collaboration. And I think that's really a very important designation, because wherever the light language is coming from, wherever our gifts are coming from, it truly, we're not alone in that sense. So that would be the word in quotes,
Yes.
is that it is a beautiful collaboration to like weave all of this together in whatever form it is meant to be. And I think that's such a beautiful word to use to actually state that
Yes.
it is a collaboration, right? Well, I think this would be a wonderful time to embark upon our what we're calling our Trinity light language dialogue. Okay, and so with this, I will begin, and Andona will be second, you will be third, and we'll go through the Trinity. Typically, we go through 3 times. And we have found this to be so beautiful, even though there's not necessarily an intention that's coming from us. But it feels to me, and I was thinking about this earlier, it feels to me that as we embark upon this, that there is a higher intention that we're weaving. Yeah. So, are we ready, ladies?
Yes.
Okay. So let's just take a deep breath. E tu respirare cugne mataziendere di stura. E pegiare cura ne petundore si ara. O sore kieran di pequena manatura spo otra me quiere sura. A tiere tu me che chiama tutra spicciacanandandura. Andare tur e puro sura ma che ci mo cuia matatiere che ndilelo tu chundre pistura andare che tu ci mana macatutra spitura anur che mamma macatere sura su come mamma cacere nece cura nur cacciamore itore no con manana trecire ne nundreum.
Urrusce treveamo tut. Verra si tracaindo sotto me a sandrairai. Warushi atreve o merukai. Verukai in da satrumatea. Urute ashan merugon. Verun de ashon de an. Verushan. Duan. Du. Merukai. Verun. Vorukaiendo sotto me a sanitad. Virukai si andreve un margai shotrebe kan sorukai sia merukai sandrame u an verukai si rukai dan meturusia verut ishon ashe.
Dauni mahamba emme sauni wale putueni kauni meita iso koe alemen no eita tuia tanma sokwale mali it ailba masokwai ni itaula umbaisake kaui tandu kue andu bale eta iso kwam ya hai sayid no umbaki sa ui tanak haliki kan sikina ui satuin ano ui andai sakano sile anti kisawi. Aisha tu ini maka wi anti kisawi ni mahayite. Kenai tali ma wi sakwi natari naku saki ni kau sani tau ke nakia.
Isto queera tanya na maieru turas pa tikendere tur sa chacha kende tiere pu na paieru kure na makere pasiere tur ama makatere tur kapayona handaru reri tur amariere tiere tur amariere yamarere kura sire nere tur mondere atir andare tur tanda tur yotiere sire Ingerin mano no tur, engrini mano tur, Anare yana, anare gura no tur, Anare. Kukere masira mama bakadere, ikere tutura, manena tura, ares tura, amare kire, ticere na nora cura, Anare tire, anora.
Besio rusia do meso tragai inde se tragai nu arfa nua me rusia tragai me ruka aparukai urushi re anducar sondea merusand veran urun veran zeron tean veo Uran, Serun, Dean, Seron, Dean, Perun. Tuan urushir mi aso. Herri sandrave omarga inde satakai, ore sandia, arsand, horusia, mirisia, tu sindekai, ferisiandukar. Mi asan, horisiandea, sorukia, mirute asiado kai, varusia, merukande asho, verukandea, verushan, verushan, verushan.
Oh, shalom, mai to hapu isa mama itau. Anu itau ne mi ai na no la wa ne ke o ne. Awi na o la o ni lo mai le o na. Alu mi ai ni le mai wa la o na I le. Alu mi ai ne ya ni le mu ai le mai lo ai ni tau. Alu mi ai na no ku ya le lo na ke le no mai muale maina quella di noele la lo muita alo miai na no ya ni na ya lo miai muala le na ule muya ya na ule mai ya ni a wale mi ai we na le muya na una le muya
Sututu terebe alo kutro mon shikere pasutra spaere tindere handere kure handu kure shero ture shere ture kukundure papa endere huro andore turo katatata yerindere turo agermana muturo spoyer matakaina trizia diaria handere kudema bakura stura Mamma caere tirana macure cena, erano con il mano ture, riere cotiere, nena nora, cucoia manone, si picchia mano, e nena macure tur, a tiare tur, ambahoya, caia, handiere, che ha tutto ricere, e nere,
Borussia, Miraesia, Barasangu Kai Sandrave Omad, Berakuahi Makuamba Asin, Barakuma Inda Kaiso, Beano Magindo Kama Ashandu Kama Hita Kando Kamaruka India Sutreme Avoro Kama Hindo Gari Sandrave Moruve Rarute Sandrakatua, Verwatu Arimetu and Bekai Inde Sutrematia Sandratu Verutendea. So mero Sandrea Tukan. Hier sandagai maratea. Waru tende shotremeat. Liaso, berakai in de satrameat, kahita, berocambe yo son de nemati in the kai sandrabat. Verutea. Hera sandea. Mirakai in the sho, risiate. Mirusan, esian. Verus andrevetu meat. Tucandea, sanduari sandrevetu mer caide, vurusciandea, miraseandea, verasu, verusia, ashandea, merocai, isham, desem, she.
Mahawiti na motuale petuku anu kepa mokete mukadu umale petuku ani matu ka uta mataka o te makutambo ka panu ko pa atuku makaputu ataku pa inu matuku me antuku pa makitamo kitan masokano kwe kipamba pa isa tu makila kani isa ku hanti kili ku mai so kuwe kitandu mai libi no me iti tuku ni te tu mo ti ti o ti andu ti ka puta o ishikanu te kuni mita wini te homo sake tuku hasiki no sade ku ni kita numita o kita andu na sate tuku hande ita tuku hande to musatu ita mo ai le ko o ni ka wishi o te ku hai haselu mai te no mai satu kama hi hetu ba hasa hasili ini tanu la disa ku hani kila ma asa kau kamu kayu ya anu ya hai nu mai tu ina nu ita nu ui na nu hai nu ui na ui na ui na
Brituras payamatras pinyandre piru Kundres pirema matrateria Anotruia Kiribishutri maimatruin Kirimanatutri pitur Muri Nukusyaman matritinu Itsere pequeno manutis papaye cura taindi sata arur ko tund mbakasha no u nitre hero kur momot andet gesur na ketura no zaberene katiera no tur
Du Russia, de Gai, mir du hier kamoten, bean ja suat, ja sandeat, bea suat, merisian, hieras, verut, di sierte meat, merukande a sande a shor, Werusian regema unde a sandreat, merasia du carisian reveo ca iudea, meawatu a sindrati amuru che atuand, hierisian de gaid, veruca marisia tuatia, he marucarisian revecomatia, me or combeatia su cain, mo ukir cabaicana. Tu carica me u ania tu meruke pa iarka pa ueta aniara kutusi sirke me u aperu kama hierka te muruka hi te karuka ima tua berasira ke te onea foruke nea tu mirke fure isirke te murukia te ania chore kai verukai inde shorukendea disirke miudea Vorushindea isharkitaya.
Ndau mbuai ni muho ni uhatu hantu kwai ni mahambo e tau maui shandwe mame wi ham wahela mbawe shanu aito munia ano wi hawe ni it au ni na ho ni sai sangwa hansi le mbawa shakya o hansi le mbawa sheni ni hai ni hanai ni hani wa ni o ni ai ni wa ni shanu na ne handi am na ho ni he shanu am we si ni ando mai shi ni hai si to hai sang no on no atan do ho san ne te na handi sa handi ka so ni na handi ai na handi la hembe se ni no ko ya ani hanai ni ho ni ai ni hanu anu na ho na haswe ni na hai swe ni hanu no ni te ni so te anue na hoi sau ni ta ai ta ni wai te ni sau ni tu an ye te tu sa Moe Yaho Ne hum ne hum ne no ne nya 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 one ya no ye no ye no ye no ye no ya ya no
Kukuye chachapukunye tut chatakande ha tukuchichombuta shakenta kutura hande tukukura kachetenda ha tukura bundu ora sing. We are complete. That felt so powerful. And towards the end, what I was realizing, I think we did an additional pass because I was guided that the energies were up. It was such a holy exchange that it needed to be brought back down and grounded. And it was like interesting. And then you all followed that. So it truly felt like a holy exchange. That's what just popped into my mind. And this is the first time when we've been doing these Trinity light language dialogues that it truly just like boom, it like felt so rooted in my very being. And I don't know how to express that because the others have been wonderful as well. They've all carried something truly extraordinary, but this really resonated with that ancient aspect of who I am that's been coming forward in my work and so forth. And it was just like, yes, it's supposed to be like this. This is it. It just seemed very transportive. And even in the beginning, during your Robyn, during your demonstration of your work, I'd had like this clearing, and it was along those lines too, that something really old and ancient that came from a deep ancestral past just came kind of upward and forward and out like through my heart. And when we did this, there was this clearing because I was just like opening my chest and I was realizing that it was an aspect that I'd been carrying that was now departing. And so that was just such a beautiful. I don't have any other words.
Yeah, it's like primordial energy. Like that's what I felt. Right, so that I can't put it. I can't even speak English. Marita Dushan. Horukaina Barisha. Better kaisona. Better. Like the core essence of us. Right. That's what I felt. Yeah.
And it's very interesting because remember when you asked like what kind of light language should I speak, I always feel it's very primordial. And when each of you were speaking, I was receiving so much. Like actually, I thought I was going to cry, but I felt another one of my aspects come in through both of your like song, like your like it hit some kind of note that like opened something to allow a part of me to come back. So a part of me that I hadn't met before. So I just got a new aspect that sings much more than what I've ever. I can't say that I really sing. I mostly tone and do the light language, but I feel that she sings. So I got a new aspect. I felt it was like you said, there's really no words, but it was very powerful, very powerful.
For some reason, and it's kind of funny, I just have to say this because it popped up. If you're a fan of Harry Potter's, remember Voldemort, and he had aspects of himself, parts of his soul in the Horcruxes.
Yes.
That's always that were dispersive. That's always the image that kind of feels like an aspect of myself has been supplanted somewhere in history and throughout, and that in this life up to this point is about discovering that.
Yes.
And that like an aspect of myself is like hidden off somewhere and then it comes back. And it has nothing to do with the soul necessarily. I don't believe that the soul fractures and it disperses into multiple pieces in that sense. I feel that our soul is healthy and complete. But I feel there are these higher aspects of ourselves, and it's part of that memory. And to the fact that even throughout our lives that we depending on what it is that we are doing, our beliefs and our what we vocalize in our actions and so forth within our life, that we magnetize these different aspects of ourselves to come back, so that allow us to remember who it is that we truly are. It's really an aspect of becoming who it is that we truly are. And it just reminded me of the Horcruxes in Harry Potter. It was funny.
Yeah.
But
Merging all those aspects of self back together. That's how I feel. Yeah. That's why I don't feel your light language could ever stay the same. It has to evolve as you merge those aspects of you. It's becoming one voice, one unified voice, right? So if you're bringing in Pleiadian aspects or Arcturian aspects, it wouldn't necessarily stay the same. It's going to become a new coalesced frequency that is you,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that that's what makes this lifetime so incredible, because we have access to all those parts of ourselves. It's really just beyond any words. Like when you meet these parts of yourself, it's like, wow, it's such a humbling experience.
and Andona, I believe like the beauty in what it was that you just said, I think is truly our process of awakening and ascension. So that I feel that if we're staying in I'm channeling the Palladians, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, that it truly is not a little bit, it's a distraction to our own evolutionary process, because we get stuck there. And we're not allowing those voices to unify as one within our God self, that all encompassing God, right? That we're coming back into this alignment, that serves as a distraction when we're disallowing all of that to weave into our true voice.
Yeah, it keeps you separate. It keeps you separate in very simple terms. It keeps you separate. Identification with any label, in essence, keeps you separate from the wholeness that is you, because you want to align to your perceived definition of that label. But you have to release the labels and come back to a state of wholeness. Yeah, yeah. Wow. Transcending words.
Yes.
All right, beautiful beings. So, Robyn, share with us, for our audience, one statement you would really like to leave them with.
That we truly are indeed everything. And when we begin to understand that, experience that, and embody that, then we are one with the waters, with the mountains, the volcanoes, the animals, the birds, and we begin to experience life from an entirely different perspective, as one with all creation.
Beautiful. And how can people connect with you and get in contact with you if they're interested in more of your offerings?
Okay, so my website is Divine Sunrays, which is just DivineSunrays.com. So divinesunrays.com. I'm on Facebook and under the same name. And I may be in the process of shifting my business name, but it will still point to the new one if I do so. So it's Divine Sunrays, or you can find me under Robyn Ringgold, Robyn with a Y and Ringgold with 2 G's. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I can't express how transformative our time together has been, and I deeply appreciate you, Robyn, and I deeply appreciate you as well, Andona, for just being here, and all of you saying yes to this experience. And thank you to the audience for being here and tuning in, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Tu puji se petre
Kaira batu suere matres pura, tacerente, kutu. Pirika tutte le spagna na gente. Sukuya matosha, tempacutro spiratu. Okura. Kutira masulla le iere siria. Tempacutro spagna. Te tudo.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.